So inside here, she hits her father on the head with a hammer while he's sleeping, then stabs him. Okay everybody, this is Mooney Dashcam. Tonight we are in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. We're going to be talking about the interesting case of 22-year-old Nikki Secondino, the transgender aspiring fashion model, who called the police after her and her family got stabbed, saying 2 intruders were the ones who did it. But is that really what happened? We're going to be going to the house where this all happened. So let's flip this around and get into it. The address that we're going to is 8208 17th Avenue in Bensonhurst, like I mentioned before. This happened on December 29th, 2022, so very recently. I'm filming this right now on January 6th. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at mooneydashcam. I post in there pretty much every single day. Any crime scene photos that can't go in the YouTube videos end up on the Instagram, so go check that out. Also, don't forget to leave suggestions for future videos in the comments. I appreciate that. I get inspiration that way. And also hit the notification bell so you guys can see exactly when I post a new video. Okay, let's get into this story. Like I mentioned before, Nikki Secondino is the main character of this story. Neighbors said they heard bodies banging and being slammed around, wrestling from the Secondinos' apartment through the thin walls. Arguing and banging wasn't unusual there. There were at least 3 domestic calls to this apartment prior to this event. One of the sisters actually banged on a neighbor's door trying to get in, yelling, "Oh my God," over and over. The neighbor actually opened the door to see blood and didn't want to get involved, so closed the door back up, which is pretty messed up, but it's kind of like how it goes around here. Like, oh, I don't want to be involved. Some people are good people and they jump in, but most people don't want to do that. One neighbor heard the father yelling, "Please call the cops," so she did at 5:50 a.m. Like I said, December 29th. Other reports from neighbors said they heard Nikki Secondino making a 911 call saying men in ski masks and all black broke into a window, demanding to get into the safe, and then stabbed them all. As police were on their way, the father was described by a neighbor as looking like he was wearing a red vest after being stabbed in the chest. He was laying on his back, face up, in the kitchen in a pool of blood. Police get there and see Nikki's little sister, Liana Secondino, standing outside, badly cut up, deep wounds. And she said, in quotes, "My sister stabbed me. Have you seen my dad? Go get him." 61-year-old father, Carlos Secondino, is dead in the kitchen. Nikki and Liana are taken to the hospital. Nikki has minor cuts, and Liana is in critical condition from how badly she was stabbed. When Nikki's confronted about her story, police were already suspecting that her story wasn't true. All right, go ahead. It was your right away. So they told her there was no surveillance footage to confirm her story. She folds pretty quickly and admits she made it up and confesses. That's after investigators spent a chunk of the day looking for these masked intruders that she spun up out of her own mind. We're only a couple blocks away from their house now, and here's what she said in her confession. In quotes, "I came out of the bedroom and saw my father sitting on the couch sleeping, and I bashed his head in with a hammer. I grabbed my favorite German steel knife and stabbed the shit out of him." Obviously, in cases like this, we're glad when the person confesses, but it's always amazing to me how quickly someone will tell every detail of the crime without a lawyer there. If you're under investigation and you're in an interrogation room, all you have to say to stop the interrogation is, "I want my lawyer." They cannot ask you any more questions until your lawyer is there, and then your lawyer can speak for you. It's something that more people should know. I know a lot of people already know it at this point because true crime stuff is a little bit more popular than it used to be, but That's a tip for anyone out there. If you get dragged into an interrogation room and you didn't do anything, ask for a lawyer immediately. But in this case, like I said, we are glad she didn't. She continues on to say, my sister came out of her bedroom and tried to stop me, and then I stabbed her in the back, head, and stomach. I wanted them dead. Continuing on, saying, if I saw the 911 caller, she would be dead next. I didn't plan it. I didn't need to. I don't remember where I put the knife, but I'm sure you'll find out. Now, the father, Carlo, was a staple in the neighborhood. He worked at 2 local establishments. He was a delivery person for a panini place, and he worked at Mike's Diner, which is right there. The panini place was actually on the same block, and nobody had a bad thing to say about him. The young girls that worked at the places that he worked at said that he would help them out. If it was late, walk them to their car. He would make sure everyone was okay. He always made sure everyone was okay. And he actually expressed concerns to a few people about his situation at home. And it kind of, what's that expression? Fell on deaf ears. Like no one really helped out when they heard about that. So the apartment is right up here to the right. It's right above a plumber's place. I don't want to stop directly out front because I believe because people definitely still live there. So I'm gonna pull up here just a little bit. Oh, this looked like the panini place maybe that he delivered at. Okay, we're across the street now. It was the apartments above this plumbing place. I don't want to be out here too long because this whole neighborhood knew this guy. I don't want to be insensitive, but it was that window on the upper right. You could see the left window pane on the top right, I believe, is still broken. I think she broke that window to make the story that the intruders came in that way. When I came before, that light was on and this light wasn't. I'll show you all the tape around this door and police outside. Let's walk this way a little bit. Why is this chiropractic place open? It's like 11 o'clock right now. So she went on a YouTube show, a YouTube interview about her coming out to her parents and her family, how it maybe wasn't the most well received by her family and her struggles with that. And that maybe led to some of the tension between her father and her, or her sister and her. But that is where this went down. So inside here, she hits her father on the head with a hammer while he's sleeping, then stabs him, then goes after the sister when the sister tries to help, and then fabricates a whole entire story just to get out of it, and says if she could, she would stab the 911 caller also. Pretty insane when you think of it. And this just happened, so there's not really, like, every detail I'm giving you is kind of all the details that are out there. I'm sure there's a few little details that I left out because they're not that important, but let's get back into the truck and we'll finish off the rest of this story and give the few other little incidents that not really led up to this, but kind of showed how the family dynamic was. On July 15th, 2022, Nikki called the police on her father saying he threatened to kill her. Oh a little moped guy shooting around. Then 2 days later, Liana, the sister, was arrested and charged with assault and criminal mischief for ripping down her blinds and cutting Nikki's hand. Then in late July, Nikki got a temporary order of protection against her father and sister, saying that Liana threatened to kill her and that her father was in the mob. There was no real evidence that the father was in the mob, and sources said that same thing, that there's really no real evidence that he was in the mob. But apparently he was very religious and very Italian. I mean, his last name is Secondino, so I understand that. This is a fun little bit of the story. She's being held at Rikers Island. Now, if you guys don't know about Rikers Island, it is one of the most insane, dangerous, notorious prisons in the country. There are a few documentaries on Rikers Island. I would highly suggest you guys checking them out just to understand the kind of treachery that goes on there. She ended up being charged with second-degree murder, second-degree attempted murder, and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon.
Nikki, what happened?
Nikki, what do you have to say?
Do you have anything to say to your sister, Liana? What do you have to say, Nikki?
So I guess we'll see how this case turns out. It's pretty cut and dry in this point. She's gonna get time. She's gonna get at least a murder charge and spend a lot of time in prison. But you never know. Stuff could get weird. Some new evidence could come out. We're not sure. But that's pretty much everything I have to tell you about this case at this time. So I will see you guys in the next one.